Well, I have good news and bad news and good news. The good news is this unit, it's in development. It's seems to be pretty clean, powerful, and easy to make. This is a 11 by 5.5 oak. This is 1 by 1 aluminum, solid billet aluminum. It's a copper plate for the stereo jack here. There's going to be a old school Variac here. It's a variable AC transformer. This helps save power. You can turn it down if you're not blasting this thing full blast. You can also use this to turn the power up slowly for the high voltage, help the tubes last longer. It's a 50 watt EDCO transformer, and this is, I believe it's a 125 watt high voltage transformer. We also have a separate filament transformer, so the Variac will control this high voltage power supply independent of the filaments. So there's also going to be a mirror here, beveled mirror, to help reflect the heat, as well as for appearance items. You can see the tube from the backside. So that's going on right now. The other issue we had, this is a temporary negative bias power supply here. It's running at negative 40 volts. Is the computer we're using to run this thing. Now, we set this thing up to run on a gateway laptop, and it seems to have a decent sound card in it. Unlike the we had the Toshiba satellites, and I've got an old one that's about 8 years old, and I've got a brand new one that's about 6 months old running Windows 10. Unacceptable when it comes to sound quality to run this thing. You need to get a real computer sound card if you want to run this thing to make it sound right. Otherwise it's going to be distorted, it won't have the power. This is a Macintosh G5. It's probably, I don't know, I'm going to say 6, 8 years old. I believe it's when I first started the Intel chip conversion. It's got an excellent sound card. These things were made to do audio editing and video editing, which is why I bought this thing, to do video editing. It's got a decent equalizer in there, preamp. You can crank this thing up, drive it into distortion. You can't do that with a weak sound card that has to have a decent digital to analog converter in that thing. So we're also working on getting some low-cost USB sound cards to plug in to try get these PC laptops working decent. So we'll get back with you to get some good results. Post it on our website. So again, decent sound card is going to make all the difference in the world. We're checking it with the scope as well as doing listening tests, and I think you'd be quite pleased if you build one of these. What we have is a power transformer, it's actually a step-down transformer, running it backwards. It's about a 10-to-1 step-up for the input transformer. So we're going right into the driver tubes. So you have to have a decent sound card to be able to drive these driver tubes here, which are EL84s. More than enough power to drive anything, KT88s even. We run this KT88s in here. We're taxing the transformer, otherwise we'd be running KT88s in here permanently. The next stage of development, we're going to be building a KT88 version running 100 watts with a little bigger audio transformer on here also, as well as you've already got the power supply. But the other thing, beautiful thing about this thing, it's got 1,000 microfarads of capacitance to filter that and hold the charge. So you need some base power. Those capacitors got enough power there to kill you. So if you don't have decent filtering, you're going to get buzz and noise and stuff. The other issue we have, the old school negative bias power supplies for the last 80 years have been running a real cheesy, almost half wave with a filter capacitor to run the negative bias on this thing. Guitar manufacturers still use them today. This uses a full bridge rectification as well as a DC choke. It's very clean. This makes the difference on noise. So you want to build a high fidelity vacuum tube power supply with fixed bias, you need to have a decent negative bias power supply, and you can't copy what's already out there because it's not decent. So that's another big revolutionary feature of this circuit. Very clean negative bias power supply, as well as the Variac to control the tube, the plate power supply. It's also going to have a surge control on the DC filament, so it'll help the tubes last longer. That's the bottom line. So crank up a little music here, and then we'll see you guys later.
We had white horses and ladies by the score, all dressed in satin and waiting